What's up, everybody? We're back with another video, and today. Today we're going to be taking a look at quarantine tanks. So in the last couple of videos you would have seen me moving all the fish out of the 120, setting up the 200, and then adding in the new fish to the 120. So pretty much what brought this on was the loss of my albino gourami that happened some weeks ago. What pretty much happened is I added in some new fish, and within a day or two it started acting funny, and I think on the third day it passed away. I wasn't sure what actually killed it, and I'm not sure still, but it just made me realize that I actually needed a quarantine tank, because it might have been the fact that I added in the new fish that killed it. So that's why I've gone ahead and done all this setting up for a quarantine tank. And what I'm pretty much going to talk to you about today is what I'm doing with the quarantine tank, and what to actually look out for when you quarantine your own fish, and why it is actually so important. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this tank, and we're just going to go over the basics for today. Alright, so this is the quarantine tank at the moment. We have 3 fish in here. We have a silver arowana, and then we have an albino gourami and a giraffe-nosed catfish. The albino gourami and giant-nosed catfish are currently hiding behind the sponge filter, so we won't be able to see them. And there is the silver arowana. So the first thing I've done with setting up this tank is adding in some aquarium salt on the first day, just to help relax the fish. It just helps them breathe properly, and it's meant to be a relaxant for them so they don't get as stressed out. Because what happens when you add new fish in is they can be stressed from the movement, which makes them susceptible to parasites, bacterial infections, viral infections. And so what this does is it helps that to prevent that as best it can. This is also why it's essential to drip acclimate your fish, or to acclimate them as appropriately as possible, because you just want to reduce the amount of stress the fish goes through during this entire process. This arowana gets spooked so easily at the moment, so I'm trying not to spook it, but every time I approach the tank it goes and darts about and jumps, and it just is not happy. But that is why we have quarantine tanks, is to check our fish's behavior. If we see something that's unusual in the fish's behavior, we need to notify it right away and try and assess what the issue is and address it. So the first things I've done so far, other than adding in the aquarium salt, is to add in some Melafix. So Melafix is just a basic bacterial medicine that helps with any ulcers, skin open wounds, damaged fins, anything that the fish might go through. So I noticed on the first few days, I think the fish had some eye cloud, which pretty much means that it hurt its eye, and its eye went all cloudy. It's cleared up now, and today is the 4th day, so I added in Melafix daily for 3 days. Now today's the 4th day. I'm going to do a 20% water change, 30% water change, and then I'm going to go ahead and add in some parasite treatment just to make sure that there's no internal parasites. I've not seen anything that would suggest that there are, but it is just good to dose them properly. I've not seen all the fish in this tank actually pass anything. I've seen the arowana pass something, but just not the gourami and the catfish, which is why I'm adding this as a precaution. What you want to look out for is white stringy feces, pretty much. That just indicates that there might be something going on. It means one of two things: either the fish isn't eating, which is important, or the fish has parasites, which are just absorbing all the nutrients and not actually giving any onto the fish. So thankfully I've seen the arowana both eating and passing waste, so it's completely fine. I've not seen the gourami or the giraffe-nosed catfish past waste. I've seen the gourami eat, and I think the giraffe nose has eaten. But these are just things that you want to look out for. You want to make sure that they are eating before you put them in another tank with fish that are already established, because they would be more aggressive to getting the food, and obviously if these fish don't get their food, they're going to starve to death, and you just don't want that. Another thing, yeah, just make sure that these guys are all healthy and they're not carrying anything, because if you introduce them into your tank, what that's going to mean is that all your fish are going to get sick and you have to medicate the whole tank. This tank is only 120 liters, the one downstairs is 200 liters. So the benefit is that you use less medication in this tank to treat the affected fishes. Those are the main things to look out for. Like I've said, it's just behavioral, anything that just doesn't look right. This just gives you that time to rectify all those issues that are ailments, and just make sure that the fish can go into a tank and not be hindered by anything. So another thing to always take in mind is I have planned to quarantine my fish for 2 weeks. So after the 2-week process, I'm going to do another assessment if I see anything that gives me any cause for concern. So that means if I think that one of the fish might be acting up, I'll keep all the fish in here and try and quarantine for another week and see if it's a behavioral issue or if it is an actual ailment. Because I don't want to risk infecting other fish, or I don't want to risk this fish going in there, being too sick, not being able to get food, or being picked on by other fish, and it just being stressed out more and getting worse. So that's why we have the quarantine tank, and I had to learn this the hard way. I always did intend to get a quarantine tank, but unfortunately, drastic circumstances had to occur for me to actually get that kick in the backside I needed to actually just think, I need to get on with this. But anyways, that is more or less why we have quarantine tanks, and this is the basic procedure for what I do. There are very basic diseases you need to look out for and just have the right medication. So I have fungal treatments, I have white spot disease treatment. Like I said, I got the bacterial and I got the internal parasite treatment. So I have all these treatments in case any of this does break out. There are plenty of guides online as to what to look out for, but that is what I do. So today was a fairly short video, but that was just an update on what's just going on at the moment in my head and with all the fish. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. Make sure you guys keep safe. Peace out.